Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. I hope you're all well, all things considered in these trying times. Hope you're staying safe and sane these days. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Tad Bradley from the Cucinary Collection here in Seattle, Washington. We represent First Nature Tours, among other owner-operated boutique tour operators and properties in Africa and the Americas. Today, I'm going to be joined by Kieron and Elena, who you see on your screen there from First Nature Tours. They're both based in Portland, although Elena is currently hiding out in Tuscany, I believe, in Italy, lucky her. And we're going to be presenting today on winter adventures in the Pacific Northwest. Now, if you're new to First Nature, they are a tour operator and DMC based in Portland, Oregon, that designs highly customized, tailor-made, custom luxury adventures throughout the Pacific Northwest and up into Alaska. Now, for a lot of you, the Pacific Northwest, those of you that aren't from this region, and even some of you that may be from the Northwest, this area may not come to mind immediately when you think of winter wonderlands. But Kieron and Elena today are going to show you why this incredibly diverse region should be at the top of your winter destination list. So I say, let's forget Aspen and forget Vail and Sundance and Park City. And we'll look in today about how just an hour from Seattle and Portland, your travelers will find a Pacific Northwest winter wonderland in the Cascade Mountains, which really can rival those better known destinations in the Rockies and even in the Alps with far fewer visitors and, let's face it, far less elitism. But you know, it's not all about snow sports and the winter wonderlands in the Northwest. There's also an incredible culinary bounty and a variety of experiences, from oysters and Dungeness crabs on the coast to truffles, as well as, of course, amazing wine in the interior of the region. And just a few housekeeping things before we jump in. As always, we're recording this, so you will get a link to it if you miss any of it. You can also find it archived on our Cucinary Collection YouTube channel, where we archive all of our webinars, upwards of 75 now, thanks to this year of webinars. And if you have questions, feel free just to enter them into the Q&A panel or into the chat, and we'll get to those throughout the presentation and then at the end as well. So enough of my pontification. We're going to let's introduce Kieron and Elena. For those of you that haven't met them, Kieron is the founder, director, and head naturalist guide for First Nature, and Elena is the experience curator and often your first contact when you're designing an itinerary. She also used to work for Travel Oregon, the DMO there, so she knows a lot about Oregon in particular. So Elena, Kieron, I'm going to pass it over to you to dive into the winter adventures in the Northwest.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, your summary was pretty excellent. I think the overarching theme today is just the diversity of what we can offer in the Pacific Northwest, which is one of the things we're pretty famous for. And when it comes to winter activities, and you think of just like the skiing and snowboarding destinations across the country, a lot of the ones that are more popular than us are definitely plagued by a lot of crowds in the wintertime. And just in the spirit of the times we live in right now, avoiding crowds is going to be a major objective for a lot of travelers. So just that alone is a worthwhile consideration when you're considering the Pacific Northwest, being able to get away from, you know, lift lines of 10,000 people, you know, at places like Vail and Aspen in Colorado, or even anywhere in Utah, and to some of these more remote destinations where you can get out on the snow and avoid those giant crowds, I think is going to be really worthwhile. So that little picture you have right there is a good overview of what we're talking about right now when we're talking about the Pacific Northwest. We actually like to include Alaska, all of British Columbia in that, but Alaska being, you know, a size of the third of the country, it's going to have its own webinar we're going to do a little bit later with you. So right now we're going to focus on just what we can access really easily by driving, essentially, from one of the ports of entry here in the Pacific Northwest of the lower 48. So that's essentially Oregon and Washington right now, since British Columbia is off limits to us for the, I don't know, foreseeable future. Hopefully not for too long, but I imagine it's going to carry through the winter months. So we're going to be focusing on Washington and Oregon, and you can see these little stars on the map here kind of pointing out some of the more popular destinations in our little piece of the Pacific Northwest here that are great for winter activities: the Methow Valley, Mount Rainier National Park, Mount Hood, and then Central Oregon overall. So these are kind of where we get people out on the snow, especially the Methow Valley being famous for cross-country skiing. Mount Rainier National Park is an excellent place for snowshoeing. You can access all year round. In the winter, it's tons of snow, beautiful vistas. And then Mount Hood, only an hour and a half or less drive from Portland, is one of our favorite recreational places to visit from Portland itself. And then Central Oregon also has the city of Bend and lots of mountains you can access, including a ton of backcountry opportunities out there. So that's a good overview. And so starting with the North Cascades and the Methow Valley, this is kind of starting with the more remote places first. This is about 4 hours from Seattle, so it's a bit of a haul to get up there. But once you're there, it is a true winter wonderland. This is the largest cross-country skiing destination in the country overall. The North Cascades are one of the least visited national parks by area in the lower 48 states as well. So it's already, even in like non-pandemic times, it's a very undervisited park for how beautiful it is. It's referred to as the American version of the Alps. So yeah, we're talking about a really fantastic spot to go get away from it all, experience cross-country skiing, experience snowmobiling, downhill skiing in places like Mount Baker, which has a ton of great backcountry. And then, of course, snowshoeing, which you can do anywhere where there's snow. There's also great heliski operations up there for your more VIP-focused traveler that wants that really exclusive, hard to access backcountry powder stashes. We can get them up there with a helicopter. That's also a great thing to do in this kind of pandemic situation, because you can only get a few people into a helicopter, and it's a pretty exclusive experience that not a lot of people have access to overall. So that's a little bit about the North Cascades. Sun Mountain is one of our main partners up there that we're going to be focusing on, and this is an excellent place to go get away and have a certain level of luxury. Just think cozy winter lodge vibes, big fireplace, sleigh rides, kind of everything that you think about when you think of the winter and the winter holidays, you can access here at Sun Mountain, including an on-site spa, which is fantastic. Elena, actually, you might want to add a few things there because you've even done more research on some of their offerings.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of a resort option, Sun Mountain is awesome for family activities as well. And so on site, they have, as you can see here, horse-drawn sled that you can do with the family, as well as I believe there's an on-site skating rink as well, which is great for families too. What's awesome about Sun Mountain is that all the recreation for the area is right out your front door. So if you're going to, for example, take advantage of the Nordic skiing, which is so awesome in this region, you can actually do that right. There's a whole trail system that is right outside of the lodge there. So it's awesome for beginner skiers for Nordic as well, which is just something I like to point out too, because this region is so diverse in terms of the Nordic skiing terrain that the particular trail system near Sun Mountain is ideal for mixed groups. I just wanted to highlight that as well. And then on top of that, there's also an interesting experience of snowcat sledding, which I recently came across. And basically, this is like epic sledding for families. So you would be taking advantage of a snowcat, which would take you to really remote parts of the mountain terrain to do your sledding with your family, as opposed to going to a crowded, more public area for sledding and inner tubing. And in terms of lodging, there's a great mix of both luxury lodge rooms. There is a more affordable component for the lodge rooms as well, but they offer an upgraded version. And then they also have cabins, which is, of course, great for families as well who want to maybe cook their own meals sometimes, rather than just take advantage of the on-site dining at the lodge itself. So just a couple of points I wanted to highlight about Sun Mountain.
Yeah, and in terms of family friendly activities, I actually have direct experience with my family there. A couple of winters ago, we spent a week at Sun Mountain and exploring the entire Methow Valley. And as you were saying, Elena, for families, having the access to the cross-country trails, although we didn't cross-country ski, we just snowshoed everywhere, but having those trails accessible right from the lodge is incredible. My daughter also loved the sleigh ride, of course, where they take you to, you know, hot chocolate and, you know, little hot chocolate event out in the surrounding natural area. You can also do one that has a full dinner, which is, you know, a little bit more bells and whistles. But really, the you know, the highlight there for the kids especially is getting to be in the sleigh in the snow. You know, feel like you're living the song about heading to grandma's house, over hills we go. And the valley itself, you know, beyond the lodge, and Sun Mountain is actually up on a mountain, about 15 minutes from the town or the valley floor itself, which is nice for views and for accessing all the trails. But the towns in the valley, from Twisp to Mazama to Winthrop, are all really charming as well. Winthrop has like an Old West theme to it, and they all have their charms, their little shops, and some great local restaurants as well. And there's a lot of other lodging in the valley if Sun Mountain isn't your preferred place to stay, or it's full. So you guys also can recommend other options in the area. But for anybody that's a cross-country skier or a snowshoer, this is really your winter nirvana. It's absolutely a place you've got to star on your winter getaway list. I think we're gonna move on from Sun Mountain to another part of the Cascades farther south that's probably more recognizable to all of you, Mount Rainier National Park, which is just a short jaunt from Seattle and from Portland, kind of situated nicely right in between those two gateways. So I'll let Elena, maybe you can jump in here a little bit more about some of the different experiences you can have at Mount Rainier during the winter.
Yeah, definitely. So we also have one of the DMO rep on the call as well too. So she may be able to address even more of the experiences. But in general, in terms of highlights, one thing that we wanted to pull out for this particular presentation is access to the wildlife park and a reindeer farm. So as you're coming out from Seattle heading up to Mount Rainier, there is actually a reindeer farm, which you can see in this this photo here, that allows for very intimate experiences with these lovely creatures. These particular reindeer actually are brought into the Seattle area for different events during Christmas time especially. However, we can work on setting up an experience with the family with these particular reindeer. I believe that needs to be booked in advance, especially with COVID right now. And so that's something we would want to make sure we would include an itinerary in advance of your arrival. And then in addition to that, there's also a tram that runs through the wildlife park in the national park itself, where you'll have opportunities to see lots of, especially the elk as well. In this area. And then in addition, there's also, in terms of ski area, the Crystal Mountain is going to be the key ski region of Mount Rainier. And you'll see in this photo below that there's an amazing gondola ride, which you can do through up to Crystal Mountain. And then as you can see from the top image, there's a lovely viewpoint, which is right at the resort there at Crystal Mountain. And then I'm going to hand it over to Kieron. He has much more experience working with groups in the Mount Rainier area, so I'll have him go over what the snow opportunities are like up there.
Yeah, thanks, Elena. I mean, it's Mount Rainier, if you listen to our talk about the Pacific Northwest in general, is such an incredible, easy to access destination. It's a really big national park that is pretty close to Seattle relatively. I mean, you're talking about a 2-hour drive in winter, hour and a half in the summer, and it is its own world. It's the largest mountain by volume in the lower 48 states. It's just this massive, huge volcano that once you get up onto it, you're like on another planet. And in the wintertime, the activities there mostly include snowshoeing and viewing some of these massive waterfalls that in the winter are covered in ice. So beautiful photography, awesome snowshoe opportunities up high on some glaciers from Paradise, which is the spot that's open year round within the national park. So just checking a national park box for you. This is a great spot to be able to get to year round and has active activities all year round, like snowshoeing. There's snowmobiling you can do close by as well, cross-country skiing. There's some really cute little lodging opportunities that are close by as well. Although just checking on which ones are available currently, we would take a little bit of research. But yeah, there's a couple pictures right there of the main lodge up at Paradise in the bottom right corner there, which is a fantastic historic lodge, one of the national park lodges. It's very worth staying in. And I think the one on the left is at Wild Spring, or where'd you pull that one from?
The one actually at the top, I believe, is from either Wild Spring or Stormkin Cabins, but there's 2 particular cabin retreats that offer on-site spa experiences. They're very immersed in nature, and so this would be ideal for couples that are looking to get away from it all, be really surrounded, by the lush forests there, and then also treat themselves to the spa services that are available there. In addition, there's plenty of various cabins that are vacation rentals, ranging from very rustic all the way up to very luxurious as well. And this lovely porch image that you see in the lower left-hand corner, it just gives you an idea of that cozy vibe that you would get more in a tucked away setting as opposed to a lodge setting.
Yes, excellent. And so there are quite a few opportunities for lodging close by, and then of course we're not that far from Seattle. We've been doing this as a day tour, back from when we developed this with Evergreen Escapes in 2007. We started offering Mount Rainier as a day tour, and it's been one of the most popular day tours for that company from Seattle ever since. That runs year round. So it's a very popular place to get to from Seattle. We of course recommend staying overnight out there, and especially in the wintertime, but you can do it as a day tour if people wanted to stay in the Seattle area or go en route, down to a different place in Oregon or Washington overall.
So from one volcano in the Cascades to another farther south, Mount Hood,
exactly.
which is, I guess, if you call Mount Rainier Seattle's volcano, you would call Mount Hood Portland's volcano. Both are visible from either city, and Mount Hood is certainly very memorable with its very conical peak, and super close to Portland as well, and so many amazing outdoor recreation activities as well as lodging options on the lower slopes of the mountain.
Yep, and that was Wellspring, by the way. We got an answer. So yeah, where are we at now? Timberline. So moving down into Oregon, you're one of the next volcanoes. Of course, there's Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams up there too. But one of the next volcanoes in our Cascade chain that has the most recreational opportunities of all of them, I would say, is Mount Hood. This, of course, is only, like I said, about an hour and a half drive from downtown Portland, so very accessible. It's a beautiful volcano that we get to enjoy a view of quite a bit from downtown Portland. And it's very well used by the people of, you know, northwestern Oregon all year round. So wintertime, we've got 4 different resorts up on Mount Hood, including Meadows, Timberline, Cooper Spur, and Ski Bowl, all really beautiful resorts. Ski Bowl is actually the largest night skiing in the U.S. It's also the first ski resort in the entire country to have night skiing, which is kind of an interesting accolade, I guess, or superlative, whatever. But it's not just about the skiing there either in the wintertime. They've got a lot of winter activities besides just the downhill skiing. They have this thing called cosmic tubing that's really fun, where they have fun music playing, and they've got these giant inflatable tubes that you can rent, and a whole tubing like sledding hill. Really fun cross-country ski trails up there as well, around a couple of those alpine lakes close to Timberline. And then Timberline Lodge itself, which is a fantastic property. It's definitely one of the gems of the entire region, if not the country, really, for historic lodges. A lot of people know this lodge from the movie The Shining, which used all the exterior shots for the Overlook, the fictional Overlook Hotel. Of course, the interior was from Estes Park, Colorado, but everything you see in that film that's exterior shots was all filmed up at Timberline Lodge. And they've done a really good job of keeping everything there super authentic. This lodge was built back in the 1930s and early 40s by the CCC and the part of the WPA, the Works Progress Administration. And it is one of the best examples of pioneer architecture that exists anywhere in the world. It's everything's kind of fitted together by master craftsmen and by jointing things together, not by fasteners, if that makes sense. So, you know, like no screws and nails. Everything is just beautifully crafted to fit together in the most beautiful way. People come from all over the world to see that example of pioneer construction, and the wrought iron work and the hand hooked rugs that were made Depression style from recycled CCC uniforms. Just the history here is incredible. Even in this photo on the left, you can see the chains that are covering the fireplace there were used on the trucks, on the wheels of the trucks, to get the workers up from Trillium Lake to build the lodge. And the stanchions that the logs are burning on, those are actually old railroad ties railroad tracks that they cut off and turned up the ends to make that nice little coil. So this lodge itself is a destination with a ton of history and such an incredible like family memory to have. A lot of people that are from the Northwest have beautiful memories of this lodge that they'll treasure forever from their childhood. And it's a great place to bring your family and to send your clients to have those same memories. It's also a ski in, ski out lodge, which is awesome to have right on the side of a volcano. So something about volcano skiing that is kind of unique. It's not like skiing in the middle of a really large range like the Rockies, where you're looking at a bunch of other giant mountains right across a little valley. When you're on top of a volcano like Mount Hood, you're looking on a clear day, you know, hundreds and hundreds of miles in either direction. So you can see from up on Mount Hood, above Timberline, you can see the desert on the east side of the Cascade Range, and you can look west into the rainforests west of Portland. You can see the lights of Portland from up there, even though it's over 60 miles away. So it's a really neat experience to ski really high up on a volcano, as anybody who's ever been on one knows.
I think this photo here, sorry to interrupt you, Kieron, photo here kind of illustrates what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. This is looking straight south. That guy's obviously shredding some awesome powder right there too in the foreground, but then you can see how Timberline Lodge is nestled right, like its namesake implies, at the edge of the timberline, at the edge of the tree line. And then from there, it's just an endless view down to the next volcanoes in the Cascade Mountain chain. That's Jefferson. And then beyond that, you can see volcanoes in Central Oregon. You can see some of the Three Sisters there off to the left. So it's an incredible spot, and lots of opportunities for winter recreation, including up at another 1,500 feet up higher. So timberline's at about 6,000 feet in elevation, so well over halfway up the slope of Mount Hood itself, and then another almost 2,000 feet higher, you can get up to this beautiful little tiny lodge called Silcock's Hut, which is bookable for private groups, and it comes with a chef and it comes with a open bar, and you can see some of the you can see one little photo there of like how it's appointed. It's kind of Northwest Pendleton style appointments, similar to what Timberline Lodge looks like inside, and also really well constructed. I think the capacity up there is about 14 people. And it's an awesome experience if you want to get up there with snowshoes or ski up there. You can skin up, or you can take the snowcat. They'll drive you right up there, you and your entire group up with the snowcat for a couple nights stay, and you can snowshoe, ski, do all kinds of activities from up there. Nighttime bonfires up on the snow, and then you see how beautiful it is on the inside. Just imagine how cozy that would be for getting your family together for an authentic winter experience.
And that's just a private experience for a group. It's not
correct
individual bookings. So
yeah, it's a buyout scenario. Elena, maybe you know more about that.
Oh yeah, yes, it is a buyout, and it's all inclusive in terms of the overnight lodging, the meals, especially there's a dinner and a breakfast that are included in that experience, as well as the transport up and down with the ski cat. And so it's a one-of-a-kind experience for sure. However, it is definitely only a group only experience, or I would say if you had 3 couples as well, it would be worth doing as well. And then I did want to just bring up one more thing. It's we recently created a partnership with a helicopter company, and actually, because PDX Airport is very close proximity to Mount Hood, they can offer a shuttle directly from PDX Airport up to Mount Hood. They, due to permitting, they can't land directly at Timberline Lodge. However, they have a private property where they can do a heli landing, as well as there's a couple other areas on the mountain where there can be a private lunch, as well as, depending on the snow conditions, a private snowshoe experience with one of our naturalist guides. And then from there, our guide can shuttle them via car up to Timberline Lodge. So that's for the really VIP client. But because of the proximity to Portland, that's a highlight that I like to point out to folks that are not familiar with this part of the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, that's a great point, Elena. We can, we're one of the few places in the country in Portland that you can take off from the rooftop of a building as a commercial helicopter operator. You can take off from a rooftop right in downtown and head out to one of these destinations and be dropped off and have an epic experience, and then get picked up and brought back again when you're done. So it's a pretty unique experience to be able to have that, and just seeing the Cascades from the sky is its own experience, of course. That's well worth the money. So bringing us to Central Oregon. So we're talking Central Oregon. That means this kind of area you see this upper circle there. That's kind of what we think of for the most part as Central Oregon. The main destinations there for towns are the city of Bend and then the town of Sisters. Those are kind of the two main locations that we send people to if you're looking for a city experience. And then all around that area, we're talking about, like, I don't know, lots of recreational opportunities from within about a half hour to an hour drive from either of those towns. So you can see some of the mountains on there: Mount Bachelor, South Sister. Mount Bachelor down in the bottom right corner is another skiable volcano. In this case, you can ski 160 degrees of it. So Mount Hood, has four different resorts, like I said, and they kind of all have their own little slice of Mount Hood. Well, Mount Bachelor is just one resort. The entire mountain is one resort, and you can go up to the top on a non-windy day when the peak lift is open, and you can choose your line, ski down from basically like any direction from the top. And it is much fluffier, lighter snow than most of the Cascade mountains are known for. So it's got a lot more of that light champagne powder that people look for in places like Utah and Colorado. And there's a ton of other opportunities on site as well, like the dog sledding. You can do that right from up top, right from the ski resort. We have a great operator there. We have an Iditarod champion that operates that dog sled operation there. You can do, like outdoor bonfires. You've got, I think, some images there of Bend up in the upper right. This is a winter image from one of the McMillan's properties right in downtown Bend, which is a beautiful property with a lot of really quirky, artsy, unique elements to it that are kind of part of the experience. And then, of course, still like lots of heli skiing opportunities as well. So for the VIP clients, we've got a lot of stuff where we can get people way out into the backcountry and get these incredible clean lines with no other people around, no lift lines at all, because you've got your own private transport. You can do that with snow machines as well as with helicopters here. And snow cat skiing is also a really big thing in Central Oregon, a place called Mount Bailey. Am I missing anything, Elena?
Yeah, I think I wanted to just pull out one thing about Bend as well. So that is the kind of the base camp for Mount Bachelor and, all the recreation in this area. It's become definitely climbing the list in terms of being a more trendy mountain town. It has the highest concentration in Oregon of craft breweries, more than Portland, although Portland is also known for having the most craft breweries in any city in the US. But when you're looking at per capita, Bend, when it comes to Oregon, has the most craft breweries. And in terms of Bend, they have a wonderful festival in February that's called Winterfest, and it actually features artisan fireplaces and fire sculptures. And so in terms of seeing the town at a really cool time of year, that February date, it's usually somewhere around Valentine's Day, would be a good date to look at in terms of timing. But beyond that, the atmosphere within Bend itself is very lively, and everyone who lives there is a recreationalist fanatic, and so you see that in the culture of the town when it comes to the style of boutiques that they have there, all the way to the restaurants, and just the atmosphere in general. And so we can move on, I think, to the next slide.
Just to add something, not only the most craft breweries in the country, in the state, in the country, but Alan also tells us that it has the best distillery, in his opinion, the best vodka on earth, which is
Crater Lake.
Crater Lake.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. It's good stuff.
But anyway, on to the higher desert activities. I think, Elena, you were going to check in on and give us a little bit more of information on this area, because we talk about the winter wonderland that is the Cascades, but on either side of the Cascades you have very diverse landscapes and diverse climates. Of course, on the western side, which we'll get to in a minute, you get more rain on the western slopes of the Cascades, but then on the eastern slopes it's the high desert, and there's a lot of 300 days of sunshine. Again, Colorado doesn't have the market cornered on sunshine in the winter. So those eastern slopes definitely have a very agreeable climate during the wintertime that opens up all kinds of opportunities for unique activities like we're looking at on the screen there.
Yeah, thanks for the overview there. Because it's such a volcanic terrain, I wanted to showcase some of the landscape during the winter time that's quite striking in contrast to the powdery snowy peaks that you would see up at Mount Bachelor. And up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see Smith Rock, which is epic for rock climbing. It's a very well known throughout the world, in fact, for its rock climbing. And also they offer horseback riding within the park, in addition to wonderful hiking trails. You also see Tumalo Falls here in the upper left-hand corner, one of the most epic waterfalls in this region. And in terms of activities for families and couples as well, there's a massive cave tube system within this region, and there is a great operator that does a wonderful naturalist guided cave tube tour. And then also I wanted to showcase as well some of the hot springs that are in this area. And Kieron, actually, I'll probably hand it back over to him. He recently put together an amazing experience snowshoeing, I believe, out to one of the more remote hot springs, which is at Paulina Lake. And this particular, the area is known as the Newberry Crater National Monument, and it's actually very underrated for the area, but it's sort of a predecessor in terms of historic timing to Crater Lake itself. And I'll just hand it over to Kieron to just speak a little bit about the particular hot springs that you can find there.
Well, yeah, you're looking at it on the bottom right there. That is Paulina Lake Hot Springs. So it's right on the edge of the lake. We actually took a group of journalists out there and just to see what we could do in the wintertime for a little expedition when the road is closed. And we got some electric bikes, like fat tire electric bikes, rode up there past the road closure. 0 people anywhere within this entire area in the winter. And so it was only us. Had snowshoes on our packs. We snowshoed into this lake, went right along the edge of it, and we had little shovels with us, dug out our own hot spring there until the water was just right, and yeah, popped a bottle of wine and enjoyed a beautiful soak surrounded by winter and the beautiful Paulina Lake. So experiences like that, which are, you have to have an expert guide, obviously, to know where they are and how to get there, and to get the equipment sourced most of the time, are kind of one of a kind. And we have quite a few of those in Central Oregon. Speaking of one of a kind experiences in Central Oregon, this is what I tell people is my hands down favorite Oregon experience. And I'm like, as a naturalist, I have a certain disdain for really loud, noisy vehicles in nature. But it's one of those things that you hate until you're actually on one, and snowmobiles they fit that category for me in a big way. I had the pleasure of taking some tour operators a couple different times on fam tours with Petra out to the edge of Crater Lake on a snowmobile, and I'll tell you, there's nothing like going 70 miles an hour across wide open, untouched snow up to the rim of this incredible destination, this gorgeous lake where there's no other people there except you and the group you're with in the middle of winter time. That is one of the best experiences I've ever had in Oregon since I've been here. And it's not that hard to put together. So that is one to consider for your clients too, for kind of also a VIP experience, but it's not so expensive that the average traveler can't handle it. And then if you want to actually earn your turns, as they say, and do something that has a little more sweat equity involved, cross-country skiing and snowshoeing within the national park are also awesome experiences, and you can get right up to the rim like you see in that upper left-hand corner up there. So pretty incredible to be able to do this stuff in the wintertime, and Crater Lake being our national park in Oregon, but very kind of remote and hard to get to. It's good to know that there's these opportunities that with a guide and the right outfitter you can access for your clients, and they won't regret it, I promise. So yeah, I don't know, this.
There's a couple of the properties in Central Oregon that we'll run through real quickly, and then
yeah, Elena, you go for it.
Culinary stuff.
Yeah, sure. Just a quick overview in terms of the main centers in terms of lodging. So you'll see from this image that Mount Bachelor is smack dab in the middle of this map. The stars that you see are the three major lodging areas. Sisters, which is a very ranch style town. It has a very friendly main drag. It's a very cute, small little town. There's a lovely property, which I'll show in the next photo, up there called Five Pine Lodge, which has luxury cabins perfect for couples. In Bend itself, there's a number of properties that are high-end resorts. So that would be, their names are Tethero, there's Pronghorn, as well as Sun River. And Sun River actually is just south of Mount Bachelor, which you see the third star there. The property that you see in this image is Pronghorn. It's probably the most high-end in terms of lodging options, and it's a bit outside of Bend itself. It's actually closer to Sisters, but we're happy to recommend. There's plenty of lodging partners in this region. If you go to the next slide, there's just a few shots here. One of Five Pine Lodge, so you'll see that's much more tucked away cabin experience, but they have such high-end feel and finishes within inside of them. And then above, you'll see Sun River, which is going to be probably the best for families. And then also, if you have clients that are in the kind of mid to upper range, but maybe not your luxury clients, I would certainly recommend Sun River. They also, in addition to having a lodge, they offer, it's a community that is full of vacation rentals. So this would be the ideal place for anyone who would want to rent out a vacation home. And so, yeah, if you want to, we can move, I guess, to the next slide, which is our culinary experiences. Kieron, do you have anything else you wanted to wrap up for in terms of snow and you know, the traditional winter experiences that we know about?
No, I think we covered the bases there for the most part. I think just the fact that you can tie all these things together with what you're going to talk about right now is definitely an important piece of the bigger picture.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're going to move on over, switch gears and talk about the culinary experiences that are really unique to the winter season. And, you know, as you can see in this photo, there's Dungeness crab, and I believe it looks like mussels, yep, actually, that are getting prepared to be wood-fired. If you go to the next slide here, we're going to talk about two different regions within Washington, one within Washington and one within Oregon. Of course, there's so many areas that are fruitful in terms of farms and producers for high quality artisan, both spirits and produce from cheese to you know, honey and all of that lovely agritourism that someone like me, who's a foodie, loves to experience. But I want to just showcase two particular regions. The first one we're going to talk about is the Willamette Valley, which is in Oregon. It is about an hour or so. I mean, the beginning of it is less than 40 minutes from downtown Portland, and it expands all the way down to Eugene. And this is really basically our most productive wine growing region, known for Pinot Noir. And there's over 500 wineries, tasting rooms within a 150-mile radius. So this is a high concentration of wineries. And what I love about the Northwest in general wine experience is it's much more down to earth. But there are operators or providers that offer really one-on-one special touches for clients who are very into wine. But you know, what I love too is that you really get to know the story of the wineries. A lot of them are biodynamic or integrating very unique processing methods, and they love sharing that story with guests. And so in terms of culinary experiences within this region, I think we can go to the next slide here. And what I love about this particular area is that you can both access the bounty of the Willamette Valley itself, and it's also very easily accessible to the coastline. So let's say you have someone who wants to do a ton of wine tasting, but an added bonus is an experience out at the coast. And I'll get to a property that we like to work with in the next slide, but I do want to talk about a couple of the experiences that you see here in this particular slide. So you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, this is actually a truffle foray with a trained truffle dog. And truffle season in this region runs from January to March. We are known in Oregon for the Oregon Truffle Festival, which at one point was voted one of the top 5 specialty food festivals by USA Today. So it has quite a few accolades. And unfortunately this year, due to COVID, they had suspended the main events around the Truffle Festival, which include packages for one-on-one encounters like this truffle foray, all the way up to high quality dinners featuring local chefs and local produce. But what's wonderful is that there are a number of experts for the truffle foray experience, and the festival, as well as some other partners, are happy to take guests out with these special dogs to do a truffle foray and also integrate an experience with a local chef for a special meal. And then I'm going to move on to the coastal experience, which you see above. Oregon is known for Dungeness crab, which is, I also included a photo of James Beard for any of you foodies out there. He, as Oregon is his childhood place of growing up, and he also speaks so fondly of Oregon crab as being one of the Pacific's greatest blessings, as he said. And so located about an hour to an hour and a half from the Willamette Valley, you can access the coastline, where one of our guides can take you out to do crabbing, either from the dock, which is what you see here in the image, or you can go out on a crabbing excursion via boat. And this is just so fun for families who really want to get hands-on and have that sea to table experience. There are a couple locations where you can actually take your catch and have it boiled on site and enjoy a meal, a picnic of your catch of the day. And so I don't know if Kieron, you want to chime in on any of those culinary experiences that you've offered? Yes.
Sure. I mean, I think the important thing to take away from this, just to sum it kind of up, is that all these experiences are available on a private tour basis, which is all we do in the Pacific Northwest as First Nature, as a private tour operator. So even though COVID's shutting some of these things down, if you're doing a private tour with your own small group of under 6 people, we can still access a lot of these experiences and piece them all together into a private tour package. So, you know, all the stuff here, you're looking at private truffle foraging, you know, deep sea fishing, crabbing, all that kind of stuff is available pretty much year round out here. And we can piece it all together as a private tour, even right now with the given situation we're in. So moving on to the next one, I think.
Yeah, so the next slide, just one highlight of what the wine experience is like during the winter time. This is actually when the wines themselves are undergoing the maturation process in the barrel. And so it's usually when the wineries themselves start to do some inward experiences. They like to bring the tasting rooms to life and make them very cozy, as well as, because there's a little bit of downtime for the production team, there's many more encounters with the winemakers themselves. And so there's a whole suite of events that occur during what they call cellar season in wine country in the Willamette Valley. And we can go to the next slide, which is our favorite property, one of our favorite properties to feature in the Willamette Valley, which is the Allison Inn Resort and Spa. And it is the highest in terms of luxury property within the Willamette Valley, located just outside of Newburgh. And on site, you have so many amenities such as an on-site spa, a top-notch restaurant, as well as beautifully appointed rooms that are just perfect, especially for couples looking to get away and immerse themselves right in wine country. So there's a whole suite of photos here just to feature what this experience is like on site at the Allison. And I think what we'll do is we'll move on to the Hood Canal region. I know I just want to make sure we're doing okay on time. And so the next culinary base camp, as I like to structure this, or how I structured this particular webinar, I like to think of these properties as grounding as a base camp, that then guests can move out to the culinary experiences within the region. And so we're moving up to Washington, to the Hood Canal, which is just at basically the base of the Olympic Peninsula. And it's about an hour and a half outside of Seattle, which offers a much more serene landscape. If your guests are more weary about being in cities, the Hood Canal is a great alternative to that, and offers so many wonderful culinary experiences. So we want to move on to the next slide here. So what this region is really known for is oyster farms. Hama Hama is probably the most well-known in terms of oyster farms that distribute nationwide to some of the top restaurants throughout the US. And what's amazing is that their oyster farm is located right here in the Hood Canal, where you can do an oyster farm tour. There's you pick opportunities, and as you see this guy relishing his recent forage here, you can taste these oysters right out of the canal itself. So it's a really special experience to be able to go, as with the crab, directly from water right to your plate, to your palate. I don't know, Kieron, do you want to chime in on anything up in the Hood Canal in particular in terms of oysters, or the region in terms of shellfish production?
Yeah, I mean, so shellfish, crabbing, deep sea fishing, all that stuff is pretty famous up here in Washington. And the Puget Sound region is a great place to explore from the water and from the edge of the water, because there's just thousands of miles of coastline to explore from. So beyond just the Hood Canal, you can get up into the San Juan Islands, you can get out to the far reaches of the Olympic Peninsula, and just up and down anywhere along the coast of the Puget Sound, and access a lot of these awesome winter activities that are kind of Epicurean focused. Washington also has an incredible wine country as well, which is Walla Walla. That's kind of where most of it is grown. They have their own destination out there, and then also just outside of Seattle, in Woodinville, which is only about 30 minutes from downtown Seattle. There's hundreds of wineries in this tiny little town that you can access on your own little wine tour excursion. So lots of stuff to do, food and wine focused, just within about an hour drive from Seattle, which is great. And this is Alderbrook Lodge, which is one of our premier properties that we work with up there on the Puget Sound. It's a fantastic place to stay with your family. They've got a lot of amenities on site, like pools and hot tubs, and access to their own yacht, so you can go out and do some excursions out on the water itself, including fishing, crabbing, like visiting oyster farms, etc. You got some examples right here of some of the Epicurean stuff that they've done with their private chef at Alderbrick Lodge. So that, you know, these kind of things are what we can put together for your guests when they're staying there. Stuff you can harvest yourself, which is kind of a popular thing lately, that we got people going out to do foraging with an expert or do some deep sea fishing or crabbing and bringing their catch back and having it prepared by a professional chef. It's kind of an awesome experience that we can take advantage of with the bounty that the Pacific Northwest has to offer. So this is a good little example of that. You can see the yacht there as well. And
just wrapping up here with some of the winter ranch experiences.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Elena, if you want to mention where these two photos are from.
Yeah, definitely. So just to wrap up, we also, in addition to the culinary and the snow experiences, wanted to offer another highlight, which is the ranches that we have up here in the Pacific Northwest. In particular, one of our favorites is Sylvie's Ranch, which is out in eastern Oregon, and it is a 140,000 acre eco resort. It's a working goat and cattle ranch, and they've put so much attention to detail to this particular ranch in terms of the lodging, which you can see from this shot is just absolutely beautiful in terms of interiors. And it's a very much a intimate experience here on the ranch. Where you have family style meals prepared, but this is definitely a high-end ranch experience that recently, I think it's been they're in their 3rd year now, and they've done a lot of work in terms of building out their winter experiences. So they now have a Clydesdale pooled sleigh rides. They can do ice fishing. There's fat tire bike riding, sledding, cross-country skiing, as well as, you know, snowshoeing and as those activities. And then on top of that, they also have an on-site spa as well. And so that's how we'll end our I think we'll just end on that note for this presentation. And I think there's about 2 minutes or so. I'll hand it back over to Tad.
Yeah, I think we've answered quite a few questions throughout, so thank you guys for those. If you have any other questions, feel free to pop them in now, or just send through an email to me or to Kieron and Elena. We can certainly answer those. As you can see, we have a lot to cover because there is so much to do in the winter. Again, surprise, surprise to some of you in the Northwest. From those winter wonderland snow sports activities to the culinary stuff on the coast, and then to the winter ranches on the east side of the Cascades. So really not enough time to really dive into all of it, but that's where Kieron and Elena come in. If you guys do have guests that are interested in coming out here, even during these COVID times, you know, Kieron and Elena are well versed in COVID protocols. They know which areas are open. As Kieron said, some of these experiences are not offered on a group basis or larger group basis or a public booking basis, but First Nature is able to do them on a private basis for smaller groups. So certainly, if you have interest, we'd love to work on a customized itinerary for you and for your guests. So Kieron, Elena, any last thoughts before we sign off?
No, I think we covered most of the bases there. There's a lot of little towns that have their own winter activities going on. Leavenworth we didn't get to, up in Washington on the east side, is like a Bavarian village that, you know, is full of fun Christmassy things you can do with your family. There's a half a dozen other ranches too that are offering similar stuff to what we talked about at Sylvie's. So lots that we didn't cover, but as far as a big picture, hopefully that kind of sums it up. And please reach out to us for any more information. We're happy to field any calls and any specific questions that you have.
Perfect. Thanks for staying late on that side of the world, Elena. And Kieron, enjoy the rest of what looks like we might get some sun breaks here. So fingers crossed. In the Northwest, we get a little sun in November. We're always happy for that. And thank you all for attending today. We will send out a link to the recording in the next few days, so look out for that. Have a great rest of the week, and happy early Thanksgiving to all the Americans that are on the webinar today. Take care, everyone. Bye, Elena. Bye, Kieron.
Bye. Thank you.